You can have 5,000 eBay listings and be more in control than somebody with 50. Because the real difference between a beginner eBay seller and a serious one isn't just how many items they have listed, but how well they understand the business and all the systems. So here are the 7 levels of an eBay seller. Try and see which one best describes you. And by the end, you should know what mistakes each of these sellers make and how to unlock the next stage. Now, level 1 is almost where everybody starts. This is the ground level. You look around the house and you think, maybe I should sell some of these things. Old clothes, unused electronics, shoes, books, toys, kitchen items. This is basically a garage sale for you at this stage. And that's perfectly fine. You learn without risking much because you already own all of these things. And even better, you don't want or need them anymore. The problem is that level 1 sellers guess almost everything. There are no systems in place. Things just kind of happen when they happen. There's no rhyme or reason. Level 1 guys guess the price because they haven't learned how to read sold items. They guess titles because they don't know how buyers think. They guess the shipping because they haven't felt the pain of postage mistakes. But eBay doesn't sell your items just because you upload them and you list them. Buyers compare your listing with every similar option on the page. This one is kind of obvious, so I don't even have to go into much detail for this one. But if you want to move up a level and don't just want to sell your old stuff and actually make it something that makes you money, the advice is simple. Stop guessing. Check sold listings. Price based on what buyers actually paid in the past, not what sellers hope to get. Take clear photos, understand shipping before the item sells, and write titles with the words that buyers actually search for. And once you make a few sales, you're ready to move up. Level 2 basically starts when you realize you could actually make money listing items on eBay. This is when you start reinvesting some of the cash you got from your garage sale, basically clearing your house. You start going to thrift store, charity shops, or garage sales. You have that drive and you actually even start researching what sells. At level 2, you also start noticing differences in quality and brands. And because you probably had a few wins, everything starts to look like an opportunity. I love level 2, all that excitement. But this is where you get trapped. Level 2 sellers often buy too much and too random because they focus on potential profit instead of considering the real demand. They see one active listing for $80 and think they found a winner, but they don't check whether anyone actually recently paid the amount. If you have 80 active listings and only 2 of them sold in the last few months, even if those items eventually sell, this is not a viable business. Whatever inventory you have, that's where your liquidity lies. Your actual money is tied up in it, and that's hardly optimal. And if you work from a spare room or a small office, slow inventory can become a problem real fast. And look, I'm not saying don't sell anything that takes time to sell, especially if these are some rare items. Will it sell this week though? This month? Or maybe 6 months down the line? So to move up to level 3, it's all about buying discipline. My advice, check all the active listings, sold listings, condition, real sales price, your competition, and whether you can afford to wait. Don't blame the algorithm. Algorithm is built around actual human behavior. So as soon as you improve your discipline problem, then you're ready to move to the next level. By level 3, you take eBay a bit more seriously. This is when you actually start to list more often. You source your products regularly. You may set weekly listing goals. So you have a death pile. Sales happen more often and eBay starts to feel like a real income stream. At this stage, everything feels productive because you finally take action. But level 3 also comes with another dangerous belief. You start thinking, if I list more, surely I'll sell more. And sure, sometimes that works. But if you keep listing low demand items, overpriced ones, vague titles, poor photos, incomplete specifications, or unclear condition notes, more listings will not fix the problem. You just build a bigger store full of weak listings. This is where activity starts to feel like progress, even when the store doesn't actually improve. So to unlock the next level, you need quantity and quality control. Stop the busy work of just listing more items and instead start checking if these items are actually worth it, if they're worth listing. Consistency matters, but consistency with weak inventory, weak pricing, and weak listings builds the wrong kind of a store. And this is the point: when you keep listing consistently, eventually you reach the stage that many sellers crave, to own and run a real store. And that is the next level. Level 4 starts when you no longer feel like someone who lists just more random items. You feel like somebody who is logical and methodical. You have a plan, and the plan is to build a store, something you can maintain and scale. You may have dozens or even hundreds of active listings. Sales are coming in regularly, and you're reinvesting into inventory. You run a fully active operation. This is where it finally becomes full-time. Level 4 is exciting, though not without its problems. The major one is your memory. This is when you need systems or you lose track, and you lose it pretty quickly. And it's kind of insidious. At first, you remember where everything is. You know which box has which item. You remember what you paid, when you listed it. But as the store grows, unless you have a photographic memory, you hit the limit. Your inventory gets harder to find. All listings sit for months. Some photos might look good, others look like they were rushed. Some listings have complete item specs, others miss key details. Price goes stale. Shipping policies drift. The store starts to look like 5 different people created it. So you know where this is going, don't you? You will never move to level 5 unless you resolve your systems. Once you do that, you can move up. Level 5 sellers have grown enough that the work feels heavy. They may have hundreds or even thousands of listings. Sales happen, but the store gets harder to control every month. Every fix takes too long. Level 5 sellers usually don't fail because they lack effort. They don't. They work harder than ever before. They tend to have an abundance of everything. They struggle because the systems that worked at 50 listings, they can't work at 500. So the level 5 trap is thinking that manual work is still free. And it's not. Manual work costs time, attention, accuracy, energy, momentum, and even your stress. Once your store reaches a certain size, manual work becomes one of the things that stops growth. The unlock for the next level is having a process. You need templates, inventory locations, bulk editing, stale listing reviews, reporting, and cleaner workflows. You also need to decide which tasks need your judgment and which needs a system or a tool or a delegation. The goal is not just to list more, but to have more control without touching every single thing manually. Level 6 sellers want real volume. They may source in bulk, use helpers or virtual assistants, manage thousands of listings, and try to sell, revise, ship, and grow faster. By this level, scaling exposes every weakness. If your item specifics lack consistency, scale spreads that problem across hundreds of listings. You can easily become the bottleneck if a ton of things sits on your shoulders or relies on your mind. The trap at level 6 is what I call the scaling chaos. More inventory doesn't fix a weak system. More listings don't fix bad control. More people don't fix unclear processes. In fact, the more volume you add, the more every small mistake costs you. The unlock is an operating system for the store. That means clear roles, repeatable workflows, control templates, accurate inventory locations, things like regular store audits, basically consistent data standards and better ways to manage large numbers of listings. Once you operate at volume, small errors don't stay small for long. So scaling does not create your problems as much as it actually just reveals them. But if you get through this stage, you reach the God level. Level 7 sellers no longer think like resellers. They are operators. These gods of eBay understand which inventory deserves their money and attention. They know revenue and profits are not the same thing. They know a busy store does not always mean a healthy one. They know more listings don't help if the store cannot manage them properly. At this level, the question changes from how do I get more sales to how do I make this store easier to run, easier to manage, and easier to improve. That is the difference between having an eBay store and running an eBay business. Okay, so which level are you? And what do you need to fix before you try to move up? Because the sellers who win on eBay don't just work harder. That would be silly. They build the right systems for the level they want to be in, for the next level. And if you wait until you're at level 6 before you put in proper systems, then you're going to be cleaning up a mess that's already happened. So to scale properly, you need to think about putting the right systems in place probably at around level 3, so that you can scale up rather than sideways. There's a link in the description below so that you can start your 15-day free trial with Wunderlister, so you can check out how Wunderlister can help you achieve the next level.